Will it last a month? Well, hopefully, and that's what we need it to last for. This is the kind of engineering, unfortunately, you have to do at sea when you don't have the opportunity to just wander off to the hardware store or have Amazon deliver something. Now, I should probably precursor this by saying that I've crossed the Atlantic 31 times now, and I've never done it with a fridge. So this particular piece of equipment down here is not something that, as a racer and doing sail training and adventure training, all that kind of stuff, the kind of outward boundsy stuff that I'm used to doing, this is not a particularly important piece of equipment. But I have a problem which has come up, which is that these things, which are essential for the refreshment of the crew and bagels, these things need to be refrigerated. So I think it's time to have a look inside here and see what's going on. So the main thing that comes to me is that it's actually a very good unit, this one. It's from Waeco. Waeco making some of the best off-grid refrigeration devices you can get. I've had those Waeco top loader fridges and freezers in the past, absolutely brilliant. But clearly, it's got a lot of rust going on around the edges. It's not neat, it's not tidy. Look at this down here, it's pretty disgusting. I've kept it clean inside, it doesn't smell, it's not an issue, but it's not doing what it's meant to do. It's a 24 volt unit, which would be awesome if it did work, and it's not going to draw that much power. We've got things like the racks in here, some of the plastic is falling off them. So there's part of me which is like, let's just throw it away and start again. However, going online, these are thousands of dollars, and you know, I don't think it's absolutely necessary that a little bit of rust is dealt with by throwing away everything. Now, inside here, it may have issues with the compressor, the evaporator, I don't know. A long time ago, I actually became a university qualified air conditioning engineer, which makes it sound like I had some completely other career, but what it actually is that when you work on a super yacht and you're working in America, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, was very keen to make sure that there's no way that refrigerant gases, which are being used inside of the refrigeration and air conditioning systems on super yachts, are being released into the atmosphere sort of spuriously. So they created a little bit of legislation which meant that if anybody reported somebody for working without a license on refrigeration or air conditioning units, that person themselves would then get like a financial return. And it started this kind of tit for tat battle around the super yacht yards in the in Florida, where I was in the early 2000s, where people were trying to call each other out. And of course what would happen is it was like $10,000 was the fine, and if you'd been working for 3 days and they knew you'd been working for 3 days, then it was $30,000. So everybody went to go and get their air conditioning engineer qualification. So does that mean I can come to your house and fix your air conditioning? Absolutely not. But I have a pretty good idea of what's going on inside here. So I think we can get it out, we can do a little bit of assessment and try and work out, should we keep it, should we just label it as cupboard, or can we actually make this into something neat and nice? It's Saturday, it's kind of not important really, like really. I do feel like I'm about to go to Iceland, where the temperatures are about 5 Celsius, something like that. This is a bit like taking sand to the beach, but hell, why not, right? Let's get into it and let's see what we can do. So the first thing is going to be, how do we actually remove this thing from where it's in here? It does seem like these screws here is what needs to come off first. So we'll get those undone and then we'll see if we can pull it out. Okay. Try and lift it up a little bit so it doesn't. Now, yes, I have got my safety shoes here. Safety squint is engaged. All right, okay, that's pretty good. Yikes. First thing to me, you know, it's rusty. Clearly, it's struggling a little bit in that space. Now I do see over there, look at that. Look at that. See those holes? I'd seen those the other day. This here is meant to be a watertight bulkhead, and yet somebody has put holes through here so that the refrigerator can breathe. That is not a very smart move. You've got to make sure, if you've got watertight bulkheads on the boat, that they are indeed watertight. So whatever we're going to do here, certainly moving forward, those vents need to come out somewhere else. And you think, like, right here is this space comes into this area. There's absolutely no difference. I think in terms of maybe some computer fans down the bottom, that would be a lot easier, wouldn't it? But anyway, let's not worry about that now. Let's see if this thing's actually gonna work. Okay, got my gloves, it's time to start work. If you haven't already, please consider clicking the like button if you find this useful, if you want to see more content in the future. Subscribing also tells the algorithm that you want to see what's going on here and you want to follow our adventures. On with the job. Okay, so let's have a quick look here now at what's going on. We've got only 2 wires coming into this. 2? Yeah, oh, that's weird. Okay, sure. We got black and red and a red. Ooh, look at this. Look at this. This is not good here. Oh yeah, oh, it's super messy. All right, well, the first thing that we can help this system with is this mess of wiring back here. The next thing is here, we're going to take off these connections. We'll test this anyway just to see the process, but if you're going to do something like this, always make sure first what you're working with is 24 or 12 or for some boats now 48 volts, but it is not 220 or 110 volts. Disconnecting an AC refrigerator like this when it's 220 volts or 110 when it's mains voltage, this would be extraordinarily dangerous. So we can do is have a look at any of the information that's on the unit, and here, I'm not sure if you can see that, it says input DC 12/24 volts, all right? Still deal with it very cautiously, and of course I've got the video now to tell me in the future what happened here, where things came from, but if you're not videoing yourself, which is most people, then take pictures of everything with your phone. So let's get our little test rig here and see what's going on. Well, what a surprise. Don't need the lights on to see that. Nothing's doing in there. Well, I'm going to move the fridge out of the way. Now I've got this disconnected, and we'll get inside that hole and let's have a look at what's really happening. Okay, let's go and have a look inside here for a little bit more, or any kind of voltage. Ugh, yuck. There's always a feeling when you're doing this kind of thing that you don't want to share these hidden holes of your boat with other people because it's all too hideous, isn't it? But this, unfortunately, is the reality of the situation, so we may as well just grin and bear it, and hopefully we can improve things going forwards. All right. The tape is strong with this one. Yeah, oh, look at that. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, so we've got some kind of chocolate box connector there and then just a few wires twisted together. So is there a point in this where actually it's just wires? Is there any area here where it's a good connection? Huh? Okay, I'm gonna go get the wire cutters. Things are getting serious, the electrical bag is out. So, wire cutters, the power is off down there. Let's expose a few bits of wire here, and let's see if we can't make this a bit better. I went in with a multimeter and found 27 volts, and that's because the boat's on charge at the moment. So this brings up an interesting point now, which is there was no power before at the fridge, but now there is power. Now, what have we removed from the system here that could possibly have been part of that problem? Okay, well, my first guess would be this wire. If we put this to our ohms, diode, continuity testing setting, and we look, this is the wire that was coming out from the junction box down there and going to the fridge. It's actually fallen into 2 pieces. Let's have a look at the end here. If we get our probe and stick it up the middle of here, okay, and go to the end here, no continuity, no continuity, nothing doing. Now I didn't open these up, they were already like this, right? And then inside here, well, I think maybe there we have our answer. Okay, so there's something's going on there. That's not voltage, remember, that's continuity, or lack thereof. That's the resistance in the cable. So just in that short stretch there, that's the problems we're looking at. There's obviously an issue here. And then is it even worth doing this? But you know what? It's not. Look at the wire. Yeah, this is what was going on behind the fridge. So the reality of the situation is that there was power to the fridge, but then the wires were sitting probably right on top of the compressor. It looks like they've been, there's water dripping potentially down the back of this surface here. There's water getting into the back of this area in here. We've seen rust at the front. I've started to clear this out now. Remember, it was all black down the side here. It's all drying out, but it's starting to a lot cleaner. This is just a lack of paint, and then but look at the rust marks where it's been running down from behind, starting to clear off. This is the top of the aluminum frame that these boats are famous for. Is super strong aluminum frame. So there's, in fact, that's interesting. See those bits there? That's welded on. That's actually a welded on little section there. I got a torch. That little guy there, that round thing, that's something to do with the original construction of the boat. And I know that these boats would have had a like a big communications dome in the front of it. I saw it on my Volvo 60 Challenger, unshielded, doesn't have the big plastic dome on top of it. It's just like the dish, and the dish is there. It can beam out through the side of the boat because these are Kevlar boats and radio waves can get through Kevlar. So they'd have them in the front of this boat. And remember, originally in this boat, you would have had a U-shaped galley in the center here, in this area. There were 2 more bunks meant to be here, 2 more bunks meant to be over there, 2 big bins where I think you're meant to be able to put spinnakers, and then another doorway over there that goes through to what is now our toilets. But none of this galley would have been here at all. The frame would have been here, another frame here with a big door, and we can see where this paint is starting to reveal the addition of this hatch quite recently. And then there would have been another big door over at the front there, and then I don't think that this was part of it. Or maybe it was, look, it's here, it's here, it's here, but that could be an addition. And it's painted, so this is an addition. Interesting. We've got lots more to investigate on this boat as we go along, but the main point here being now that we have power at the fridge, and we've got a pretty good cleaned up space. So now we got to get outside, we got to clean up that fridge, and we've got to see if it's going to work. I did want to get into it earlier and start to kind of test it and run it and all the rest of it, but a fridge really shouldn't be run if it's been moved around quite recently, and raunging it out of there and putting it on its side so that the rust didn't fall over on the floor kind of constitutes moving around. So I'm going to give it a quick clean off, then we'll get it back inside, let's see if it runs, and if it does, then let's try and tidy it up and make it look better. Okay, so we've got the fridge back inside now. It's been outside having a clean off, and you can see that a lot of the rust has gone from here. This is looking a lot better, maybe stained a little bit white, but that's this stuff. It's a passivation and rust removing gel. I've used these a lot before. They're very, very good. You've got to get them on, leave them on for 20 minutes, half an hour, something like that, and then wash them back off again. And you'll see from my hand here, it's somewhat stained from using this stuff. If you leave it on too long, it's actually, I've had it with some stuff we used in Thailand, it actually starts to lift your fingernails off. 6 of my fingernails nearly fell off from doing a morning's cleaning on bronze with a Thai branded metal cleaning stuff, and literally the next morning 6 of my fingernails lifting off. So use it with gloves or get it off your hands quickly, but on it goes, and things are looking a lot better here. So now over the back here, we're now getting into a situation where we're reconnecting things back together again. I've gone ahead and just connected a few of these up already. If we have a look here, it gives us information about what's going on with our unit here. If we look here, it says black, red, red, black, okay? Now, black, red, red, black is actually this black, this red, and this black. Black, red, red, black. And then here, this red and this black coming in. This is the main power feeds on here. So I've gone ahead and just clicked these on to begin with, so that we're kind of ahead of the chase here. We get this and click it in here. This should make it a little bit easier. I've got these Lucas Prince of Darkness connectors. They're the only ones we had on board, so I've just had to go ahead with them. Otherwise, no go. Any joy? We should see a light on if this is working. Nice little indicator. Oh. Oh wow, okay. I didn't realize it was going to be blue. Okay, sure. Well, it's a blue light inside, and we've got a green indicator light here. We'll set the thermostat to the middle. There's no sound of the compressor yet, but it may well be that this kind of fridge, there's a certain amount of time that has to pass before it allow it to start up. So make sure it's already in a settled position. So let's give this a couple of minutes and we'll come back and we'll see if we've got a compressor running. Okay, so we now have the fridge back in. It looks a bit drunken, it's kind of laid back like this. Like it's given up. I haven't given up, but it has given up. So I've taken off the little rail that normally sits in here, this guy. And this would have the light in there, it'd have the thermostat, and then it would have the door activation switch. And I started to get into the unit here. Let's have a quick see what's going on. This is the sensor essentially for the fridge. It's just a tube which has got pressurized gas in it, and when it gets colder and warmer, it moves this little button out and in, giving us the ability to sense the temperature in the fridge. That comes into the back of this unit where it presses on this button here, and this button inside here has got a damaged contact. You can see we've got 1, 2, 3 here. We've got a little broken piece that came off with the wire when I pulled it off. And the function of these, I've tried to work out a little way here that I can show you how this goes, but it's a bit of a trick of dexterity to try and show this. I'm having to reach my probe inside here, and I will say that the operation of the switch is heavily influenced by the fact that I've had to splay the door. I'm about to do a soldering job, but we can see here that there's, when I make contact here, there's no connection, and as I press the button on the back, we get connection, and then back down to no connection. Okay, so as this button is pressed and released in the back here, say it's not working fully right now, you see that part's lifting up and down, that really is the switch, and I'm affecting that by pressing it. But these two contacts end up being the guts of the bit that's doing the sensing. So we've got to remake the contacts. So what I've done is just taken the snips and just went down the side and opened it up, and then going to attempt to do some kind of soldering here and bring out a little wire. So I'm not going to try and make a contact in this area, it'd be impossible there. I'm going to do a separate wired contact and bring it out through the side, and then hopefully we can make some kind of unit here that's operational. Is it a lot of hassle for something that really would be, well, you know, how much would one of those be? Like $20 or $30, something like that, maybe. Maybe that's all it would be, but they don't have them in the shop at the end of the jetty here, so we're gonna have to do something with what we've got. So I'm gonna jump in here now with the soldering iron. God help, my soldering is one of my weakest skills, but I'll give it a go again and see if we can't put this to good use. Okay, so we've got the repair done. What I've done is put a little joint in there to connect that wire on, and then I've just brought it out to a male spade connector rather than trying to do all of the repair inside the box. Then what I got to do is fold back in the sides of the chassis here, and the front back down, and tidy up and dielectric grease and all the rest of it, and then I'll test it thereafter. I'm also going to put a blob of epoxy down on top of it. You know, I'm very, very realistic about the fact that's probably a dry joint. It's probably hasn't heated up that piece of metal inside enough to really make a solid connection with the solder, but with epoxy on top of it holding it in place, a dielectric grease in place, it's got a good chance it'll last for a while until we can replace this unit at some other point. Will it last a month? Well, hopefully, and that's what we need it to last for. This is the kind of engineering, unfortunately, you have to do at sea when you don't have the opportunity to just wander off to the hardware store or have Amazon deliver something to make something work without having to put some effort in yourself. So now I've got this. This is the issue. See inside here, there's all this moisture in here from its life inside the refrigerator. So I'm going to go through and check all the rest of this. And then I took the PCB out. There's a circuit board inside of here, and I did a very old style of checking on electrical stuff. I just sniffed, smelt all the way across the PCB. Nothing in there smells burnt. I will say this though, I did attempt to bridge the contacts for the thermostat to try and make the compressor come on, and it didn't want to go. But we'll get to that, you know, when we need to get to that. I'm going to continue on this and get it back together, and then we'll see if we've got it to work. At least if this part of it's working and the power is on, we're slowly shunting our way down to it's either the compressor motor or it's the PCB. I think that's enough of the fridge job for now. We've been going 20 minutes here, but I think it is worthwhile putting this stuff up on YouTube for people to have a look at, even if it's just a cursory kind of look. If you're at sea and your fridge or your freezer goes off, you don't have spare thermostats on board, you haven't got the opportunity for a service provider to drop in and fix it for you, and all your food for your voyage is in there, what are you going to do? You're going to have to problem solve your way through it. So I hope that there's some content here that proves helpful for somebody somewhere at some point. It does take a long time to make these videos, as you can imagine, especially when you've got a machine that's so resistant to repair as this one. So if you want to support what's going on, please drop a like and a comment down below, and consider subscribing to the channel. It's just a little thing, but it lets the algorithm know that people are interested and they want to get the updates for what's going on with the channel. Helps us to grow and spread this so more people can fix their fridges. If you want to support further, go over to patreon.com/themariner. There's lots of unique content there, blogs, podcasts, updates from me on the boat, and there's an opportunity there to jump on board and come sailing if we get gaps in the schedule. So for $5 a month, that really helps support also the podcast, the YouTube video creation, everything that we're doing here. So from a very foggy and rapidly starting to drizzle and rain Southampton, I hope that wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you are safe and sound. I'll speak to you in the next one. Cheers.